welcome back to another Productivity Like a Pro podcast recording with our dear friends and members in the chat, and with my dear friend Paco Cantero, the co-founder of the Paperless Movement. And today we will dive into something exciting yet again.
Paperless Movement, your productivity, your way.
Another ICOR concept that we want to talk about today is the execution beast. And there we move into the action world. I think that's something many of the busy professionals out there are really interested in. How to get things done, how to know what to focus on. And in fact, we are tackling 3 questions today that are very important. And these are the only questions you have to ask yourself in order to stay productive. When am I doing this? First question. What do I do now? And am I doing what I should be doing? And that's what we will talk about today, right, Paco?
Yes, right. Because I think that, we always tend to create things as simple as possible. And I think that when you think about executing, when you move into the action and you want to get things done, I think that if you are able to build a system that can reply to these 3 straightforward questions, like when am I going to do this? So I got an idea when I'm going to tackle that thing. What do I do now? This moment, okay? And finally, am I doing the right thing, okay? The thing that I should be doing? I think that if you are able to build a system, talking about the action world, okay, that replies to those questions immediately, you don't need anything else.
And especially the last question, I think, is a question that not so many can immediately answer. Am I really doing right now what I should be doing? Is it the thing that I plan to do? Is it the thing that is aligned with my goals, with the business goals? Is it what my team leader actually wants me to do? Or is it this what drives my business forward? And that's where the execution beast comes into play. The concept in the ICOR methodology that we teach in the membership. And that's what we will tackle today. And the 3 questions that we just mentioned here is part of PIA. PIA is a part of the execution beast and stands for plan, execute, and align. And then the other part of the execution beast is the create part. And that's something that we tackled in the last episode, which contains the output elements. Very quickly, the output elements consists of goals, projects, work streams, operations, and tasks. Whereas the tasks are the only actionable items. These are the only things that actually do action. All the others are containers holding these tasks and reducing complexity and make the bird's eye view that everybody wants. So if you are interested in to learn more about the output elements, recommend to listen to the previous episode. But let's start with the execution beast. First of all, we create.
Yes, correct. We create those output elements. We could see the backbone of everything, because that way you are giving a structure, okay? You are setting your goals and you are thinking about how to achieve them based on all the things that you need to do. And whenever they come a little bit complicated, you start creating all those containers, as you have just said, Tom, that are the projects, work streams, and operations. And based on that, okay, it's the time to plan when you are going to do those things, those elements, those items. At any moment, you need to know, because what we have developed here, as we've developed a mental model talking about information that we call the capturing beast, here we got the execution beast, and we have created because it has to be a flexible system. So no matter what happens in your day, you need to quickly be able to reply to that question. What do I do now? Okay, when you are bombarded with actions, when these things are not clear, when you have just rushed into a meeting and leave the meeting and go back to your desktop, what do I do now? You need to have a system in place that quickly and without any friction at all gives you a reply to that crucial question. And you can perfectly plan, you can perfectly know what you do now, but if it's not aligned with your goals, if it's not moving closer to your goals, why are you doing that? That's why it's so important to think about those different approaches, okay? We can call them stages. That doesn't mean that they are sequential, okay? Maybe the 2 of them, because obviously you first plan and then you execute, okay? Execute without planning is nonsense, but the alignment is the part that people can be a little bit difficult to understand, because this is not something that you are constantly question to yourself, okay? You are not asking whenever you're executing, is this the right thing? Is this the right thing? Because that's kind of, an illness or something like that, okay? So we don't want that drama to come into your life. So I think that we can clearly define and explain how we plan and how we execute. And based on that, you will see how the alignment stage comes into place naturally, okay, without any friction. And as always, based on common sense. The first thing is to plan, okay, to decide when you are going to execute or you would like to execute each of the actionable items that, as we have said, those are just tasks, okay? We are talking about tasks, no matter that they belong to a project, a work stream, or operation, because the only actionable items, tasks in ICOR, okay? Those are items that take you from 15 minutes until, we say always 2-3 hours. That's more or less the time frame that you should take into account, the time length of those items, because the moment that they decrease that amount of time, we call them speedies, okay? That's another topic that we will handle and tackle some other day, although we have already talked about them, okay? So let's think about that you have a lot of items, as any other busy professionals, that takes you between 15 minutes and 3 hours to do. So, well, you plan them, okay, based on the information that you grab from your project management system and your task management system. You have all those items, and then you do what we call the weekly planning, okay? We always plan these items in cycles of 1 week, okay? So we decided what we're gonna do or trying to complete or dedicate our time to within just 1 week, okay? And this is not something that we do for the sake of it. It's because we have defined a time period, okay, a time frame that it's perfectly manageable for us, okay? Anyone can see more or less. It's exactly the same that with a day, more or less, you can have an idea, an overall idea of the things that you are able to accomplish within 1 week and within 1 day, okay? That's why the planning is based, first off, on weekly planning. More or less, you define, and now we will go deeper into this, how you plan your week, okay? And once it's planned, planning your days, as we will see.
Well, that's also something that we mentioned last week, and that's what we talked about, the weekly goals, so the daily highlights that we have to have in place. And there you already got the idea how amazing it is if you execute this with ease. And that's why we thought this time we want to talk about execution beast in order, how do I actually get to this? How do I actually get the backlog? Although we don't believe in backlogs, having backlogs, because there's nothing. There's always a pipeline feeding the new tasks that we need to work on. But there's always a bucket that fills up my week. And all the things that fills up my week is always aligned with the goals. That's where, when we think about the align and peer, we don't even have to ask generally, is this aligned,
Right,
what I'm doing right now, with my actual goals? And this is because it is grown out of the goals that we created. The tasks were created. So that's the top-down approach in this case, that we have the goals. We think about, okay, what projects do we need to do to achieve their goals? And the projects consist of the tasks. So therefore, each task that I will do will feed the project, will eventually feed to achieve the goal. And obviously there's also a bottom-up approach. We could start with the task, but there we have then really to be aligned. Does it make sense for the whole business? And there is where the operations come into play, for example, where we have tasks that make sense, that just needs to get done, like administration or work streams, right? They are ongoing projects, and therefore they are aligned with the overall business goals, and usually it's growth. So one goal that we don't have to write up is business growth, as we all want to grow our businesses, and therefore we have machines in there, running machines, which are the work streams. And that's what's the beauty about work stream. The difference to projects is that they're recurring. So therefore I can refine this project over and over again. When I'm working on it, I can define the processes, I can optimize things, and therefore I'm driving the business forward automatically. So this is where top down and bottom up both works in this whole system. But no matter what we do, everything is aligned with what we want to do. And well, I don't know, Paco, about you, but do you ask yourself, am I doing what I should be doing right now whenever you do something?
No, because that's the moment. It's during this weekly planning when you define that alignment, okay? Because if you think about your projects, the main task that will move you forward, okay, that you can tackle within a week, then you set them as weekly. So those are the tasks that you need to pay attention to, and we will see the moment that we move to execute, okay, because we could say that that's the end of the planning inside PIA, okay, let's call it the stage 1, okay, that you have ended up with a list of weekly goals and you have decided when you're going to tackle them. That's why to make things even simpler, more to the point, we recommend to have one weekly goal per day so that you are guaranteeing that you will accomplish 5 weekly goals every week, okay? And that's a ton of work. And based on that, then you just need to be focused every day, okay, on your daily planning, what we call your daily planning, that it's you decide every day, or you can do it the day before. As I've always said, it's something that I have never accomplished, okay, being able to plan my day the day before, that it's something that I highly recommend, although I have never been able to achieve that point. Okay.
But that's the beauty. That's really the beauty, that once you get the system running, the sensation going to work, open up the tools that we use, and everything is already in place. That's where we are not suffering, not planning the day before, because everything is in control. Even if you have to maybe adjust some things inside your project management tool or something like that, but everything makes sense, and it's so quick that you don't have to have a deep thinking session in the morning, thinking about, oh my God, I again have too many tasks for the whole day. What should I tackle first? The priority list is endless. And we had this in the Inner Circle cohort right now, right? We had a member there using TickTick, and in her TickTick, there were 1,000 items, and 22 of them were pinned because that's what she considered being the priority. But those being postponed every week. So this is where there's a clear signal, if you have something like this, that you have a lot of things on your mind. You know you need to get these things done, but in fact, you keep running behind. You keep doing what people are urging you to do because it's delayed for the third time, or it's the things that you have the most energy or fun to do in the morning. So I pick this, and then so this is never giving you the full picture. And that's why in the execution beast, it's so important to have the combination of this output elements with the goals down to the tasks, combined with the peer, with the plan, execute, align. And very important then in the task management, like a pro course inside in your ICOR journey, the routines. So without routines, this won't work. So you can plan whatever you like. If you go to the work the morning and you start working on something that somebody told you and you're not following your own rules, this is where things crumble. And the same person that I mentioned with TickTick is working in big corporate with 300 other people.
300, yeah.
I cannot change all these people. That was the thing that we discussed there, right, Paco? And it is not about changing others. It's impressive how things change around you when you change yourself. And that was my case as well, working corporate with 300,000 employees, working globally with so many different teams who have their own working styles. But if you're consistent yourself, you know exactly what are your priorities, what you need to work on. You will be able to deliver this to your boss in a complete different way. You say, look, this is what you told me to do. This is what is aligned with your goals. You want me to do this, or this person wants me to do this. You have to decide what I should drop and what should I do else. And in most cases, people will say, well, okay, that makes all the sense. That's what was planned. And this, well, it gives you superpowers. And then it's the moment where other people realize how productive you are, and they become interested in how do you do this. Even better if you're a team leader. That's also a good thing, that, you know, team leaders come to us and say, well, I want to change my team. They should become more productive. We always recommend, also business owners recommend, to become organized and productive yourself first. And you lead with example or by example, and therefore everybody will follow you and they will implement the same ways, because ICOR is based on common sense. The execution beast is all based on common sense. The output elements are all words everybody knows. Goals, projects, well, work streams, workflows, everybody knows. Easy to explain things. Peer, plan, execute, align, right? These are all things that you can easily describe the moment somebody wants to know. The thing is, and the tricky thing is, the subtleties. You can go through the ICOR journey and you understand everything about ICOR. The question is now, how do I apply this to my own system? Because every setup is differently. Everybody is working in a different environment, have different tools and things like that. And that's where usually people come to the Inner Circle cohort, because Paco and I, we are in there 3 hours per week for a whole month, helping exactly applying the ICOR principles to the existing setup. And the surprising thing for many is they already have great tools in place. It's just the understanding of the basic functionality of any tool. Doesn't matter. In the end, it's a task manager, it's a planner, it's a project manager, it's a note-taking app. So that's where we, well, is it bragging? I don't know. You can throw any tool at us. We would be able to implement ICOR and make this whole thing productive. That's what I would say. We did this, by the way. That was actually actually a very good example. It was not tick only. She was working in a Microsoft environment. That's the thing. And there was the other thing. First of all, I cannot change others. And the other thing is I cannot change tools because I'm stuck in Microsoft. So what we did in this live session, we went through the whole Microsoft setup that she had available, which was Microsoft Loop, Microsoft Planner, Microsoft Teams, and Microsoft Chat, and bombarded with a lot of information scattered all over the place. But once she realized by laying this out, we used Miro to lay out the whole setup and defined where to place what, everything clicked. And that's where it doesn't matter if you're in Microsoft, even better, then everybody has to use the same tools. If you apply the tool agnostic definitions to these tools, everybody can use the same tool because they are stuck in this universe anyway. So make the best out of it.
Yes, and that's the foundational core of everything, okay? Because the moment that you have defined your week, okay, based on milestone, that's what we say, don't try to achieve more than you really can. Just select and choose 5 items, 5 tasks that you consider that they will move you towards your goals and assign each of them to one day of the week, okay? Because by doing that, you will see how the daily planning becomes a piece of cake, okay? Because now we have to separate at that moment of the daily planning the focus work versus the shallow work, okay? It's how we differentiate, because that will help a lot to implement the time blocking technique, okay? Because most of the people think that time blocking is based on just defining the exact times where you will start and end a task, okay, or an item, and that's not time blocking, okay? Time blocking is just creating blocks, slots where you will do something, okay, and helps you to create a sequential flow of tasks, okay, so that at any moment you can move things up and down, and for you it's pretty easy to reply to that question. That is the second one inside PIA, that it's, what do I do now? Well, you just look at your planner, okay? We recommend to use a planner for that, because a planner is a time management tool, and that's what we are talking about. We are talking about when we are doing the things and what thing we are doing right now at this moment, okay? And by time blocking, if you book a slot every day for that weekly goal, I will recommend to do it at your best time. For me, it's first thing in the morning. I have 2 to 3 hours every day blocked to execute a weekly goal, okay? And I force myself to create weekly goals that just takes me 2 to 3 hours. It doesn't matter how big a task is. You can always simplify it to 2-3 hours, okay? Imagine right now that we are preparing to launch a book. Well, I can reduce to just one section of the book. If it's too long, then I can reduce to just several chapters. If not, just one chapter. You can keep reducing until you perfectly fit into 2-3 hours of focus work, something that you know that whenever it's completed, you are one step closer to your goals, okay? And that's the main thing about daily planning, because it becomes a piece of cake. Because when we try to reply to that question, that is, what do I do now? First off, I need to do my focus work, okay? It's on top so that I guarantee that I'm moving forward, because the rest is just, well, protecting yourself of any attack that you may suffer coming from the outside, okay? Or organizing yourself, okay? That's the point and the moment that routines appear, because to make things simpler, to know what you need to execute right now, you have a first priority. That's why we don't use priority 1, 2, or 3, because priorities is time, okay? It's time. We have moved the important things to the top so that we are guaranteeing that they will be executed and completed, and especially when we are on a top level of energy, okay? Because those are the things that we need to think about. Energy level, okay? So that helps me to plan the order, okay? The sequential order of the tasks, okay? I put the most important, the one that are linked to the goals on top. And then in the shallow work, I put all the things that I need to do to manage the email, to do administrative tasks, all that type of shallow work. That shallow doesn't mean less important. It's necessary too. The point is not dedicating when you are in a top level of energy to execute that shallow work, because the shallow work is just keeping your business running, but it's not moving towards your goals, okay? And that's why, based on your energy level, you can perfectly split the tasks, okay, between that shallow work and for me, for instance, all the shallow works goes into the slots where I know that I'm exhausted after a deep session of deep work, those 2-3 hours, or in the afternoon, okay, that I know that my level of energy is quite low. Then urgent, it's something important. Whether if something is urgent for us, urgent means that you need to really do it right now, okay? It's something that affects an important project, that it's crucial for the business, that it cannot be delayed, because delaying that task will create serious problems, even more than not moving forward towards your goal, okay? And then that's a signal of stop, okay? I need to dedicate time to this urgent thing. So whenever, that's why you need to be careful about naming urgent to the things, okay? Because most of the thing can be postponed. I mean, postponed to be executed after your deep work, okay? Those weekly goals, unless it's something that has a real and dramatic big impact into the business, into a significant project, okay? So if something's urgent, you should stop, and then that's the thing you should pay attention to and execute now, okay? But again, most of the things are not urgent at all, okay? The crucial thing are the ones that move you towards your goal. Then another type of item to take into account, because here to know what to execute, you are managing simultaneously, and those are where the subtleties emerge, okay? And that's why it's important to see the implementation, because you are dealing here with multiple things and concepts simultaneously. Because another approach is speedies. You have a lot of small tasks that takes less than 15 minutes that are kind of overwhelming. The moment that you have 5, 6, 7, 8 in your head, they're driving you crazy. So that's where routines come into place, because you should include managing and executing and completing your speedies inside any of your routines, okay? For me, for instance, in my morning routine, I plan the speedies that I will execute and complete this today, okay? This afternoon, okay? And during my afternoon routine is when I execute batching, okay? Because that helps you to be productive and perform at your best. I execute them in a row, okay? And just in a matter of, I don't know, half an hour, all the speedies that I have planned for today, they have been executed and completed. So based on your energy level, it's crystal clear what you need to execute now. The things with top level of energy at the beginning of the day, if that's your best time to perform, okay? There are people who prefer to perform in the afternoon. Well, that depends on you, but that creates the separation between shallow work and deep work. Then if something's urgent, then you need to do it right now, no questions, okay? The speedies, they are inside your routine. And finally, unexpected events. This is something that our system needs to be prepared to deal with them, because we are full of unexpected events if we are a busy professional. So how do we handle them? The beautiful thing about this system is when you have perfectly planned using those lots, the things that you should be doing, whenever something unexpected emerges, you just need to compare your current item, okay, the thing that you are executing, with that unexpected event. And based on your common sense, you decide if you can wait and keep the planned item until you complete it and then you tackle the unexpected event, or if it's something that you consider that you should stop executing that item that was the planned item and put your energy into that unexpected event because it's something that is worth it. So that just by doing all that process, you are guaranteeing at the end of the day that this is the ultimate purpose of the execution piece, that you have performed at your best. I mean, if you have dedicated deep work first thing in the morning to execute and complete tasks that you know that they are moving towards your goal. That's the alignment, okay, concept of the execution based. Then you are able to manage the urgent things or not. You are able to create routines to manage all the shallow work and all those speedies. And whenever an unexpected event, you are able to manage it correctly, you have performed at your best. The sensation at the end of the day cannot be better because you have done your best. You are not just tried your best. You have done your best because we are human beings that start with a certain level of energy and then we end up exhausted at the end of the day after working deeply to tackle all the different tasks and things that we need to do. So we just keep this system running on a daily basis. Well, that's how you see that you accomplish all your goals without any hesitation. The shallow work gets managed. And at the end, it's a sensation of fulfillment, okay? That you are really performing with coherence based on your common sense. Everything makes sense to you. Okay, you don't feel like something reckless that you're doing things that you end up exhausted, but there's no meaning behind. And this is what the execution beast allows to our busy professionals.
And you just mentioned we are human beings, and that's where human beings always get it wrong when it comes to planning and the calculation how much they can do on a day. When we say we just need one daily highlight and we use 2 to 3 hours in order to achieve this, and the workday is 8 hours, people say, so what do I do with the rest of the day? And that's the misunderstanding of so many people. They say, man, it makes no sense to make just one daily highlight. Well, try to achieve this consistently. Every day, this one daily highlight. And you will see that the rest of the day will fill up with all this shallow work that you have to do in addition to keep the business running. Maybe you have a deep session of 4 hours maybe in a day, but it is more than enough. Your energy will drop, and you will have all the other things that you still need to do. Managing your emails, planning new tasks. And here is where, again, other concepts come into play from the project management like a pro course in the ICOR journey. Unexpected events. Paco, you mentioned it. Unexpected events are also opportunities. So every day there can come around an opportunity, shiny object telling you, man, this would drive the business forward. Okay, this is again something that doesn't allow you to achieve your daily highlight. And if you make 3 highlights a day, and usually it's your 3 high priority tasks that you want to tackle and you try to work on these, you will never achieve all 3. You will always just achieve 1 and have the feeling you haven't completed the rest. And you move it and you keep delaying, and then we come back here to the 22 pinned tasks that you just keep moving and you tick one off, but you never get the sensation that you completed and you did your best this day. And this opportunity, this is where the other concept of the agenda meeting comes into play from the project management like a pro, is I get this opportunity and I have a place where I can write this opportunity down and calmly talk about this in the next agenda meeting with my team and discuss, does it make sense? Does it make sense to, I don't know, stop a project and start this instead? Because that's something that you need to face instead of stopping the thing that you need to do today, going to your team colleague to a coffee, talking about this amazing opportunity the whole day. And in the end of the day, you say, man, I didn't do what I actually needed to do. Well, I will do this tomorrow. But you had the dopamine shot of having something new around. And that's also, everything is under control. You don't need to have the fear of missing out because you have a place where to place it and you can be sure that it gets handled. I think that's something we can talk about next time. Let's talk about the idea incubator, which is also part of the project management like a pro in ICOR. And with this being said, was great meeting you guys again, and we will catch you up next week.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Everybody's talking about the movement.